Okay, so hello everyone again. We had a brief introduction a few minutes ago. My name is Lilian Psila. I will be the hostess for this year's PLG Disrupt event, and I'm very, very, very honored to have with me the amazing Felix Eichler, the CTO and co-founder of Userlane. Welcome, Felix. How are you today?
Hello, Lilian, and hello to everyone attending the Product-Led Growth Conference. I'm well today. It's a bit rainy where I am here in Hechingen, but the mood is bright anyway.
Of course, of course. And it's very bright. It will be also your talk on enabling product-led growth with a people-first approach. And we really can't wait to hear your talk. So the floor is yours, and you may begin. And see you later, okay?
Perfect. See you then, Lilian. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah, and hello again from my side. I'm Felix. I'm the co-founder and CTO of Userlane, and I will share some learnings today about about our ideas about how human-enabled, human-led products can really change the world for the better and not for the worse. So to kick things off, I will talk about some essentials of product management, the classic knowledge, what you get to do when you start managing products, when you start thinking about that. You think about business value. It's a very classical metric. You score business value against the needed effort. You focus on getting the biggest bang for the buck. And you just go from feature to feature, from project to project. You're always going to add more. That's the standard way it usually goes. And you're going to have many things. You're going to have big, rich, powerful products. And that's great because products solve problems. We are very good at problem solving. There's just one thing with that. And that is that every product needs to have users. And if you just keep creating products and keep serving more and more users, one thing that will inevitably happen is that we'll make our users tired. We are confronting our users with cognitive overload. There is now so many products out there, so many problems are now solved. And it's becoming so clear that there is even a name for that. And it's called app fatigue. So it's really a phrase to describe how consumers are really growing tired of using more apps, of downloading new apps, of signing up for yet another service or SaaS, tired of choosing between all the different options, tired of getting all these notifications constantly. It has become a sport to do digital detox on the weekend, just to get away from all this noise and all this stress and all these apps that constantly want something from you, constantly demand your attention. And that's the core of the problem. The more products we build, the more attention we actually demand from our users. And there is only so much attention that users can give. Attention is really very, very valuable. No matter if the user is rich or poor or wherever they live, they have 24 hours a day, 8 go to sleep, 8 go to work, and then the rest, that's attention. And that attention is very, very valuable. And there is this issue that the more successful your product is, usually the more attention it grabs. And some of the most famous products in the world even are really scary. And we've seen that in the 2020 Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, where we even see, and it was really inspiring to me, that even the creators of very successful products, of the social networks that virtually everyone uses, they are dissatisfied. They don't like their own products. They are very afraid and scared of what they have created. That's an issue, I think. And great intelligent people like Tristan Harris, they've even founded an organization to think about how can we put humans in the center of product development. And that is also what I want to talk to you today, because we as the product leaders, it's not just about creating business value. It's actually about humans and about people. So we need to be careful what we do, because creating value alone is not going to be good enough. We need to be careful. The world is in our hands. We should consider what impact does our product have on the real world, and how will our product stick out from the rest? Will we just add another product, solve another problem, yet another one? Or do we make our product special? And do we do this also in a sustainable way? Sustainability, meaning that even if everyone uses your product, even if it is the greatest success of all, that you're not going to ruin the world with that. And so today, I want to show you some examples of how you can lead with the product with minding the humans at the same time. And I want to start with an example of where we already see that this is becoming a thing. And this is with the iOS function of night shift, where they are automatically shifting the colors of the screen in the evening, so that because when you are exposed to all that colors of the screen, especially the blue light, it actually gives you issues with sleeping. It's harder to fall asleep. So when you darken the screen, also when you reduce the blue light and you see that because the whole image becomes a bit more yellow, then it's easier to go to bed and easier to have really restful sleep. And that's not the only function around sleep. The iPhone people, they also went ahead and created this bedtime functionality so that every evening your phone will remind you to go to bed. Hey, it's getting late. It's like really cute that the phone now cares about you. And there's another app that is doing something similar, and it's even Instagram, that can now remind you when you have spent 1 hour on Instagram on that day. And that's, I think, a useful limit. Who of us really wants to spend more than an hour on social media a day? How valuable is it really? So all in all, these are just the first few steps, the first small road into this big jungle of attention and of all the products that we have, where products start to really consider the human and the effects of the product on the human. If you're on the phone all day or on Instagram all day, then you're going to feel really exhausted. And that's not even something that's good for the phone itself. So the phone as a product starts taking care of you. And even the longest journey starts with the first few steps. Now the question is, what's going to come next? To summarize what's happening here, product need to start managing the needed attention. How much attention does your product really need in order to do its thing, in order to work? You want to focus on enabling effective use. So nudging users in order to just do the thing that they really ought to complete and not sidetracking them into other things. You want to be really conscious about time. How much time do users need to spend with the product, and how many distractions there are on the product? Is your product going to be yet another feed or inbox to check? And of course, feeds are addictive, but that's exactly the problem. So you need to balance that out. And these are just the first few steps. I'm going to later give a more clear idea of how we also want to do this going forward. So you might say, okay, reminding your users to go to bed, reminding them, hey, you've spent an hour here. That is all beautiful in the consumer world. But how about the business world? Most of us are working on B2B products. So where users actually need to do their work, you can't just tell them to, hey, you've now worked enough, let's stop. It doesn't really work. And actually in business, it's even worse. So this, for example, here is just a small overview over the many apps that people use every day in the business world, that all the issues and the solutions, they become more and more complex and specific. And this is just the landscape of some apps, and it's really tiny. And so if you zoom further in, you will find this. You will find confusion. So many ways to go, so many apps to use, so many possible ways to achieve the same goal, to do the same process, and no clarity. There's just, you don't easily find your way, and it's bad for your users because they are confused, and it's bad for your product because your users will give that feedback that they can't use it. So the big question is, can we not just simplify it? Can we not take some learnings from the consumer world and apply them to business as well? Think like an Uber app. You push a button, and there is only one button to push, so it's as easy as it gets. And within a few minutes, a cab will arrive and take you to your destination. That's beautiful simplicity. So can we not just have something like this also in the business world? And I have to disappoint you. If you try to build a Salesforce CRM, for example, and just try to minimize everything to one button, you can't just do that. You can't just have a sell button, or also if you're working in customer success, you can't just have a renew button and that's all you do. No, the business world is complex, and business world is complex not because of the software, but because selling is complex, because the business process is complex. So you can't easily get rid of that. We all know software is eating the world. And because the world is complex, this is why software needs to have all of these complexities. And that's very demanding of people. Nowadays, the average employee in a company, you need to use 20, maybe even 30 apps every week. And all these apps, they don't get updated every few years like they used to be, but every few days. It's this constant refreshing, this constant change that's putting a lot of stress onto people. You know, our hardware as humans was designed millions of years ago, and it hasn't really dramatically changed since then. And now things are changing so fast, you even have to probably do a retraining as part of your career, because no job exists for 40, maybe 50 years at a time. So we need to do something about this, and that is reducing the information, reducing the cognitive overload. That's really the core of it. Focusing on only providing the minimum required information at just that moment. So just the right info at just the right place, that's going to do the trick. And that's what, you know, humans can handle and what we are designed to understand. The good news is that you've got this, that there is solutions out there that you can apply to your product. And these solutions are called digital adoption platforms. So the vision of that is let anyone use any software instantly, let them not worry about technology. Let's just get them where they want to go. You can imagine this pretty much like you're also new to a city. Let's say you're visiting my hometown, Munich, and then you want to get to the closest beer garden now. And then you don't want to know all the streets of Munich and where exactly is what. You just want to know from where you are, how do I get there? How do I reach the destination? And that works with minimal information. You know, if you just open Google Maps, you find something there, and then it tells you left, right, very small bits of information, and you just arrive at your destination. Isn't that magical? And digital adoption platforms apply the same concept to software products, to also complex B2B software products. You can use anything instantly, like you can also find your way around in any city you can. So a tiny bit on Userlane of how we make this special, and it starts with our logo. It starts with putting together humans and technology and connecting them with the interactions. And this is something that we've always focused on, is that we are delivering aha moments. So that magical moment when the user understands, this is how easy it can be. This even exceeds the expectations. And we've developed a very pluggable platform that can dock into almost any software, and we can explain the complex business processes and keep simplicity. So in practice, this might look something like this. The concept here is providing just the right information at just the right time, reducing all this cognitive overload, reducing all the paths that the user can go to just the right one. And that enables people to use anything instantly. But it's a bit abstract here, so let me make it a bit more practical with talking about one of our real world examples with Forto, one of our customers. They came to us with their business goal of increasing the conversion rate. It's a classical thing where digital adoption platforms can help. And honestly, it's important also for a business to function. But then we have to look a bit deeper and also look at the human goals of it, the human side of it. They are very important to consider. What is going to be the cognitive load? How can we streamline the experience and focus on the simplicity? And how can all of that happen with minimal attention to the product, so that the product really enables people and is, not just another feed, not just another source of notifications and work to look at. So what we did there is we embedded our digital adoption platform into their software, and they have seen amazing results by taking users by their hand and by reducing information. 33% reduction in onboarding time. That's very visible, where all this cognitive load disappears. Users are less lost in trying to find their way, less lost in trying to figure it out by themselves. But it's really a digital adoption platform like Userlane is the closest thing that you can have to a product expert sitting next to your customer and explaining it, all of them, in their speed. And the other thing, we also reached the business goal and increased the conversion rate by 10%, which is, of course, very good for any subscription-based business. So what we did there, we connected both worlds. We had commercial success, but also we had human success. We actually made this product more bearable for humans and more easy to use and to interact with. So the paradigm here is leading with the product, but following with a people-first approach. That's what drives successful products in the future. That's my belief. And now you're likely asking yourself, okay, Felix, but how what should I be doing now? How can I add this also to my software, to my product? And how can I make sure that I build the right product? The good news is we have an answer there. And there is 5 principles of people first products that I want to put forward now. So the first rule, the right doses. The doses of a medicine makes the difference between it being poisonous or it actually being helpful and curing the patient. So of course your product needs some attention. Of course your product needs to be somehow fun, engaging, and make the user want more of it. But you shouldn't get to that extent that you try to manipulate your user into using your product constantly. You should make it engaging, but also make it healthy. So make sure your users don't use your product like a drug. The second principle is focus on aha moments. So provide just the right info at just the right time. Don't provide them huge text to read or all the information in the onboarding. Provide them bit by bit as they go, as interactive as possible. Consider the golden rule of products. So the golden rule means imagine everyone was using your product to the fullest extent. Yourself, your users, everyone uses your product. Then would that be a good thing on the world? What would happen? Would it still work? And that is the golden rule. So consider that when you're designing your product, how, if it really goes well, how will it change the world? And manage cognitive load. I've talked about this already extensively. So beware of the app fatigue. Try to reduce the cognitive load. Focus on what is really, really necessary for the user. Get to the point as soon as possible. Just shoot straightforwardly. And last but not least, simplicity is an imperative. It's not a question of design. It's like the simpler product is the better product if it does the same job. So these are the 5 principles of people first products. And in conclusion, I want to encourage you all to not just focus on the value, the features of your product. Don't just focus on all the customers, all the contracts that you're going to win or renew. Focus on humans. Focus on the people aspect of the product, the impact of the product that it will have on the future of humanity. What if your product actually becomes big? Will that be a good thing? Or will you also later regret that you have built it because it destroys the world? So make products fun, make the world a happier place. And in order to put a nice picture into your head about how this might go, if you just add feature to feature your feature, you're gonna build a Terminator, a cold, calculated product that's just gonna go do its thing and be really cold, and it might totally conflict with the interests of the actual humans. And there is a better way to build products if you put the human the center of all your consideration, and that is what the developers of Iron Man did. You put the human in the middle. You have extensions, you have augmentations, AI assistants, and recommendations. You really make you make life really easy, but you put the human at the center. You don't automate them away. You really have this meaning for the human to be there. So beware to not accidentally, unknowingly build a Terminator. Please focus on the human in your products. Thank you very, very much. Let's all have a very inspiring product-led growth conference. I'm very excited to see many of the future talks coming up.
Thank you so much, Felix. It was really such an insightful presentation. And I really liked the people first approach. Your approach was amazing. And the analogy of the right doses, it was really great. Also, I must agree to the point of simplicity, that it is the best way to approach things in this world, in this amazing world of product-led growth. So I'm just very curious about how do you thrive? How do you think an organization can focus on people-first approach? How could you consult other organizations implementing this people-first approach?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. And of course, a product is a part of an organization. And I mean, we all gather here as product leaders to deliver product-led growth. So also the product is a very central part of the organization. But where I recommend that you start is with the culture of your company. Mm-hmm. How does the culture of your company support humans? How do you hire people? How do you select people? How do you even in your company develop people and make sure that the jobs that everyone are doing are fulfilling and provide meaning and purpose to people? I think that is very, very key, that the culture will define everything you do and also your product. And you can influence the culture through your product. You can definitely influence the sales through your product, but you need to get the culture thing right in the beginning.
Okay. And also, while scaling, let's say we have an organization that wants to scale. Do you think that what you said about the culture is really applicable to the scalability of the organization?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And we see this ourselves at Userlane as well. So we just are going through a funding round this year, and we have doubled our team from 40 to around 80 people this year. And now we're getting also at this point where culture questions turn into a different aspect, now that not everyone knows each other personally anymore. And also this very special year with the COVID pandemic makes it even harder for us to stay connected. So we are very aware, and we preach this since the beginning to everyone in the team. It's not a question if the culture will change when you scale. It's a question of how it will change when you scale.
Yes,
and
yes.
The good thing is it's in our hands. So if all if your first 50 team members are aware that change is coming, that new people are coming, and that they set the example of what's good behavior and what's good culture, then the next 50 are just going to follow them, and the next 50 will consider the first 50 always as leaders. So it's at the end of the day about leading by example, about preaching and repetitively saying the same things again and again, telling an overarching story, and just being open for change. Don't try to conserve the culture of how your startup was when it was 20 people. That's not going to work when you are 200. So you just need to get comfortable with that and also prepare your team for it. And it's also completely normal if some people don't like it anymore. It's actually a sign of... it's also a sign of maturity if an employee, for example, knows that they enjoy the phase between maybe 20 to 50 people a lot, and they have previously seen companies grow beyond that, and they just know for themselves that it's not their environment, then it's just fair enough to find a good compromise there. And there is always another startup coming. There is always another opportunity coming where you can, again, just find your right moment of growth. So finding your sweet spot, that's, I think, a really attractive career goal for everyone, to just know, are you comfortable with 2,000 people or with 20? Choose your poison, basically.
Yeah, of course. And now with COVID, how do you see that happening?
Well, for us, when COVID first hit, it, of course, it was very scary, but actually the business effect has been really dim. We even saw some increased demand for our digital adoption platform, because now overnight, suddenly, what was discussed the last 3 years with all these new work topics, they have been implemented in now 3 days. And that has really posed many companies and many of our customers with significant challenges. And well, a digital adoption platform, when you just have that guidance in the app, in all the software that people have used, especially if you can just turn around and ask your colleague, that is something that was really helpful. And internally, we basically have everything digital anyway. Everyone gets their laptop. So we were very connected. We now also just pair up random couples of Userlane just to have a virtual coffee. We have still our weekly all hands where we tell stories to one another. And actually, what I like about being remote is that it removes all this randomness and this coincidence from your processes. So you can't just rely on people bumping into each other, maybe an engineer and a sales guy at the coffee machine, and then they talking about how the product works with the customer, or maybe the next few things that are going to be added to it. So you need to somehow structure this communication. And of course, from a business design perspective, that's really interesting. So I have an engineering background, and I guess many of our product friends here think alike, that we go in and we design how things should be. And now we can also do this a bit better with business processes. How should information really flow? Who's going to be informed by what and when? And you need that anyway as you scale up. Think about it. Even if you're all going to be local in one city, if you scale up, you're going to be on multiple floors. You're going to have an office where you're not going to have just one coffee machine. That's just not scalable anyway. So I see it more as a maturity level of the organization to be able to support remote. And now we have people all over Europe. We're still a Munich-based company, but very, very remote enabled. So we have people in Prague, Berlin, Hamburg, many other cities around Europe as well.
That was a very interesting point. And I really want to thank you for being here with us today. It was really an insightful presentation and a very insightful Q&A. I believe that in this industry, it is very easy to apply what you said. And especially now with COVID, you are digitalists. That's how I call you all. So I really believe that in this era, you can actually adapt better than anyone. So again, thank you. Have a wonderful day. And we'll see each other again, maybe in the next PLG Disrupt.
Perfect. I'm looking forward already.
Super, super.
Greetings to Athens. Ciao.
Yes, thank you. Bye. Ciao, ciao. So now, before we hop onto the great break that we have for approximately 1 hour, I just want to say that our next speaker will be Lisa Singer, who is the VP Principal Analyst at Forrester, and she will talk on leveraging pricing and packaging in order to drive product-led growth. So grab a coffee, chill for a bit, and we'll talk again at around exactly 11:30 a.m. So see you all in a bit.